We all know that Wizard has been slaying in Battleground with the recent spam build that a lot of players are using, but I decided to change this up a little bit in Conqueror, and I've also been having success with it in the normal PvP, Battleground and Convoy. So we're going to be taking a look at the breakdown of this build today, and also the results that I've had from this. Let's go.
So I didn't record the beginning of this match because when I checked the teams, it was a total whale match, but I have been meaning to make a video for this build. So this is the 6-slot build that I put together that worked quite nicely in Conqueror mode, and I wanted to try it out in Battleground as well. So I put the correct items for the second main hand, second offhand, and I've been testing it out over the last kind of week in Battleground and Battleground Convoy as well. I didn't want to just do one of the Battleground modes. I thought it'd be worth testing it out in both to see if it works in both Battleground modes, because obviously they can be quite different. And I'm just trying to wait here to bandage. I don't want to get taken down before I've done that. I think I'm going to go to the next Guardian here, the next Idol, because it seems like we've got a little bit of an even split between teams. But yeah, I know I'm against high resonance players because some of them are people that I'm on a Discord server with and that I've played with previously. They used to be on my server. So I was kind of like, oh god, this is going to be a difficult match, which you can see, like, I'm taking damage really, really easily. Also, my armor is slightly lower here because I've gone for more resistance, because my resistance is generally low anyway. But this build is a variant of the spam build, very slightly different to what most people have been using. I've been using it with the, I'm going to die here. I've been using it with the, oh my gosh, what is it called? Ice armor. But with the newer ice armor essence, so it gives you like fire, and that seems to work really nicely because it then has the burn effect. So then I'm using that alongside Angmit. So I'll give you a breakdown of the build at the end of this video. Hopefully this will be a victory for our team. We seem to be doing okay at the moment. We seem to be doing kind of better than they are. They're not, obviously it's not come up saying that we're going to lose soon based on how many times we've died or anything like that. And I'm still managing to get these kills in, which is good because, as I said, I know that I'm against some high resonance and high secondary stat players. It does help that I've got a good team behind me as well, because obviously with Battleground it makes a big difference if you enter and don't have a high, well, not high resonance, but a competent team, let's say. I'm obviously locked in place here, as you can see, which doesn't help my situation. Luckily my bandage has just cooled down there, so I can use that now. And we've just managed to break through that barrier, so it's whether or not we can actually get around now. And once again, I'm locked in place here. Necromancers are too strong in my opinion. It doesn't help that these guys are much higher resonance than I am as well, and obviously Legend League. So I've just made it into Gold League for Battleground, and unfortunately I didn't get to revive there in time, but they've managed to take down the heart. But yeah, Necromancers are really, really strong in PvP at the moment. So this was a victory for our team. I'm probably not going to be near the top for kills or anything because of the fact that, oh, okay, I'm third. So I'm not the highest resonance player here. As I said, I'm against some really high resonance players in this team. So this guy here, this is my friend Nico. We've played together for quite some time. You can already see from his combat rating, he's 50k combat rating. Look at those crazy secondaries. And 9,353 resonance. So this is what I knew I was going to be against. I don't know how I've managed to match up with this. I'm literally 5,000 resonance. This is when Battleground is a piece of shit. So this guy as well, another player that I recognise. Pretty high secondaries there, especially on armor penetration and potency. 7,400 resonance. This is what I mean. I knew that this was going to be bad. Let's have a look at what our top player was there. Obviously high resonance as well. You can see from those wings when you open this. 7k armor and armor pen, 8k resistance, and yeah, 9,500 resonance. So of course I wasn't going to beat that with my build. So yeah, that is this is the kind of matches you get in Battleground for no apparent reason. So I'm quite happy there with my 6 kills and 2 deaths and 10 assists. It could have been better on the assists there, but it is what it is. And obviously with this build it is a little bit risky, and especially, as I said, I'm down on my armor by about 600. I think I'm about 5.4. So 63% win rate isn't completely awful for Battleground at the moment. A lot of people are having a situation with obviously with playing Convoy. Quite often the match is determined as soon as you enter that based on which classes are on each team, based on the class distribution. And so yeah, 63% I'm pretty happy with. I'll give you a breakdown of the build, and I'll give you the results of some more matches at the end of this video as well. So I'm going to be going through a total breakdown of this build, including reforges and other options that you could go for as well. So starting with set items, I'm using 4 pieces of Angmits. The duration of your additional ignite status is increased by 30%. There is a 15% chance of attaching an ignite status to an enemy when dealing damage with primary attacks or skills, dealing 28,209 damage over 3 seconds up to a maximum of 3. Alongside Angmits, I'm using 2 pieces of Grace of the Flagellant. All continual damage, channel damage and persistent ground damage is increased by 15%. And I'm using 2 pieces of Vitus as well. Increases the duration of all beneficial effects on you or your party members by 30%. I would recommend, if you wanted to swap some set items out, you could also go for 4 pieces of Angmits and 4 pieces of Vitus. I think that would make it a little bit more powerful, but I'm limited to my set items currently, and I'm definitely not wasting my wisps crafting any new ones when we know we're going to be going into a new Inferno difficulty soon. So if you don't have these set items right now, definitely hold out until the new difficulty drops and then go ahead and craft what you want to. As I said, 4 pieces of Angmits worked really nicely, but would also probably work better with 4 pieces of Vitus. Now looking at the legendary items, we've got Terminus Facade on the helm. This one, slow time now causes you to enter a temporal flux, causing your non-channel skills to reduce other cooldowns of your other skills and increase your movement speed. Slow time's cooldown cannot be reduced by this effect. Slow time cooldown is reduced by 7.2%, but cooldown is decreased by 10% from the awakened slot. Coat of the Astrum on the chest. Lightning Nova now unleashes a wild arc that jumps rapidly between random targets, leaving behind sparks of electricity that continue to deal damage when it hits shocked enemies. Lightning Nova, wherever I've lost myself. Lightning Nova, where have I gone? Lightning Nova damage is increased by 18%. Lightning Nova damage is increased by 10%. Using Sir's Fortuitous Ward on the shoulder. Teleport now causes you to gain a shield that absorbs 38,162 damage and blocks 1 total loss of control effect. Shield is increased by 54%, teleport cooldown decreased by 10%. Stalking Wind on the pants. This one, teleport now blinks you to a target location, unleashing a vortex that damages and knocks enemies into the air. Teleport damage is increased by 18%. Teleport damage is increased by 10% from the awakened slot. Radiant Splines on the main hand. When Lightning Nova deals a critical hit, it emits a charged bolt that deals 15,201 damage. Cannot occur more often than once every 1 second. Damage is increased by 90%. Lightning Nova damage is increased by 10%. Flame Superiority. So this is where it changes compared to what often a lot of other people are running with. Ice Armor instead radiates with fire, burning nearby enemies and increasing your critical hit chance against burning enemies. Ice Armor cooldown is reduced by 7.2%. Ice Armor cooldown decreased by 10%. We've got Thunderburst Bite on the main hand. This one is simple. Lightning Nova damage is increased by 19% and cooldown decreased by 10%. And Frenetic Spark on the alternate offhand. Lightning Nova cooldown is reduced to 18.6% and damage is increased by 10%. Then looking at the cursed properties, we're using 2 pieces of Wired. We've also got some Eternal Gear. So we've got the Frostfield Eternal Gear. We've got 2 pieces of Lashed. For Frostfield, I've got one of those. Oh no, I'm not using that skill, sorry. Bear with me, there is another one that I've got. Lightning Nova, there we go. So I've got 4 pieces of that active, the Lightning Nova Eternal Magic. And then we've got Detested as well. Create a dark void beneath you that lasts for 6 seconds. So those are the cursed properties that I'm using, and I believe that's all of them. Yeah, Detested. I thought I had more than this. No, so there's a couple of pieces of inactive. So yeah, I've gone for Detested, Lashed and Wired. Obviously you can stack one of those up to 4 times. I'd probably recommend going for the Wired because this has a lot of shock in this build. Excuse me for getting my words wrong all the time. It is one of those days today. For legendary gems in this setup, I'm using Bloodsoaked Jade, I'm using Colossus Engine, Roiling Consequence, Void Spark, Wolf Yacht, Bottle Type, Starfire Shard and Viper's Bite. So I normally would use Seeping Bowl, but Viper's Bite triggers more frequently, so I find this a better option in this build. Now another thing that I have is the reforges. So I have the same reforges on all of my gear. So I've gone for the Jolt. Oh my god, this is what I said. This is what I'm like. I've gone for the Jolt set bonus. So duration of beneficial effects is increased, cheat death chance is increased, damage taken while suffering loss of control is decreased, and I have a 2% chance when attacked to immobilize my attacker. I'm also using here damage to players increase and attack speed increase, and I've pretty much got the same reforges on all of my gear here. Let me find it here. So this one I actually have the, I always forget what this one's called, but the different family bonus. So primary attacks have a 2% chance to increase all damage. This is one I need to work on my reforges on, but generally I've gone for the Jolt reforge on everything. So you can see bonus again there, and bonus again on this one, Jolt family bonus. So this gives me a higher percentage of actually triggering that, and I find that really beneficial in PvP, having that little bit of a defensive thing there with immobilizing attackers. So this works really nicely in PvP. And obviously I've still got the things like damage to enemies, suffering loss of control, skill damage increased, and you can obviously save your reforged sets at the blacksmith. So let's head there now so I can show you what I'm talking about with that. And obviously I need to work on my reforges on my chest as well, because those aren't the reforges that I thought I had on that for PvP. So we're going to go ahead and check that now as well, because it might be that I actually need to change my reforges on that piece. So let's have a look here. Reforge. So at the top you can see I have PvP loadout, and then I have loadout 1 and loadout 3. So loadout 1 is my PvE loadout. Loadout 3 is currently locked. You can unlock that for once you've completed a certain amount of reforges there. So I don't need to spend any more reforge stones to actually unlock that one. But this, I will probably look at changing this so that I actually have more of the Jolt set active, because I want it active on everything. And you can see all my other pieces of gear, I have that Jolt reforge active, and that works really nicely in PvP. So I definitely recommend going for that over any of the other reforges. Now, having a look at Paragon, I'm going for the Gladiator Paragon. So I'm going for this simply because of cheat death. If you have a Savior pet, and if you have a Savior Dusk Prowler, I do have a Savior pet, so I use this, but if you have a Savior Dusk Prowler, you might find you don't need to go for Gladiator, and if that's the case, I would recommend going for Slinger. And then Legendary Paragon skill, I've gone for the Lightning Rod, because this helps again with the shock that we're using in the build. So this will give you more damage from this legendary skill as well. So that is why that is the one that I have active for this setup. It works really nicely, I find. You can go for some of the others ones. Benefactor is a nice one to go for if you're in PvP, sorry. So Benefactor or Lightning Rod, but Lightning Rod is what I've gone for to just increase a little bit more damage from the fact that it's lightning damage, and I'm already using Shock. So Shock increases any lightning damage in game. Then lastly, I'm using the attacker warband buff. So let's take a look at this. So obviously your warband remnants determine what buffs you get. So it's really important to make sure you have the right remnants set up for your team and for your warband. So I'm using the attacker buff. So this damage done is increased by 3.5%. Critical hit chance is increased by 1%. I've got that twice, so that's 2%. Increase your damage dealt by 1% for 2 seconds every time you deal damage. This effect stacks up to 10 times but is removed when you take damage. Increases critical hit chance by 3% while above 70% of your total life. Increases critical hit damage by 10% when your critical hit chance is greater than 70%. And as I've said before in other videos, your critical hit chance can add up to more than 70% from all the different areas that you're getting it from. So getting it from the attacker buff here, getting it from the magic on your gear, and also getting it from legendary gems as well. So that is everything in this build that I can think of. The pet that I'm using, I just have a Quake Strider. It is a savior pet, as I said. I'm not the hottest person on familiars, so let's just take a look at what we've got here. So we have inactive Fiendish Haste. That would be great if I could have that active, and inactive Bestial Might, again, it would be great if I could have that active. So the only real thing that we've got here is Savior. Rupture we've got as well. Familiar active skill increases damage by 1% up to 4%. Potency increases if your agility is at 70%, which it is not. Gain and absorb shield equal to 4% of the familiar's active skill damage. That one does come up quite a lot, which is good. Soul shield, I like that. Siphon and still hide. Your block chances increased by 15% for 3 seconds following your familiar's active skill. Status effect damage from the familiar's active skill is increased by 4.8%. And Sand Vortex is the active skill that your familiar has if you're using Quake Strider. But as I said, I basically just use this one for the fact that it has that savior skill. So that is everything, I think, from this breakdown. I'm going to add a few screenshots from other matches at the end of this video. Let me know if you have any questions on this build. I've been finding it works really nicely for me in PvP. I'm going to add screenshots from Convoy as well as normal Battleground, and they're just going to be my recent ones from this week. I'm not going to hide any out or anything like that. I'm literally just going to share all my screenshots from my Battlegrounds that I've done this week. But yeah, that is it from me for this video. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a great day. Official Diablo Partner.